All right, folks, here we are just inside the Bradley Center. The 19-30 Milwaukee Bucks to take on the Raptors tonight. Raptors finally breaking that losing streak of 13 straight games with a win against Minnesota. But you know what? And we talked about it yesterday, Eric and I, on the plane. The Raptors really haven't got a lot of negative attention in the national media in the United States. Why? Because the Cleveland Cavaliers now have lost 25 straight games, eclipsing anything that the Vancouver Grizzlies, the old Cavs, any of those teams did years ago. And it's sad that the Cavs are going to go from, be the only team in NBA history to go from the best record one year to probably the worst record the next year.
Isn't it usually the other way around? You're usually talking about teams going worst to first, not first to worst. I mean, you're right, Jonesy. It's the Cavs have saved the Raptors in a sense because of that, and now it's at the point where you don't want to be that team. Doesn't matter if you're the best team in the league or you're down there with the Cavs. You don't want to be that team that Cleveland finally gets over the hump against, because they have had some close games. Even just look at what happened to them the other night. Against New Orleans, right? They had a close one as well.
Last night, 3 points against Dallas. They had Anthony Parker, former Raptor, has a straight-on three to tie the game, and it hits front rim. So for Toronto fans, though, they're off that. And in talking to Leandro Barbosa, just as the team has gone into practice here, he says there's a renewed confidence just because of one win. He said it was almost like we won a championship, the way some of the guys were acting, but it just gives them some confidence, and I got to feel that this team will come out with a pretty strong effort tonight after having a few days to practice as well.
And Barbosa is officially a game-time decision for tonight, but Jonesy spoke with him. It sounds like he's going to play. Triano said the same thing, Jay Triano, in chatting with him. He said, based on the way he performed in practice yesterday, the fact that he's feeling good this morning, they're on the floor right now at the morning shoot-around as we're recording this, so Triano is expecting him to play, but officially listing him as a game-time decision for this evening, just in case something were to flare up over the course of the afternoon. So at least they're getting a veteran body back, and that's something that Jay said that the team was missing as well, sort of the veteran leadership, not just the scoring and the punch that a guy like Barbosa brings, especially in that second unit, but the veteran leadership. And that's something we addressed a lot of the time, Jonesy, when you look at, Bargnani in year 5, Amir Johnson, a 5-year player, but when you factor in his
first
age,
year he's had to do this much.
Exactly. So really you're looking at one guy basically in Calderon as a veteran type player for this team. And then after that, a lot of guys with 2, maybe 3 years experience. And that ultimately made I think a big difference in the psychological breakdowns that would happen in games. Because we can argue that the talent wasn't there in a lot of the games, or overall the talent level is not what it is for other teams in the league, right? But I think some of those close games, mentally, psychologically, you just don't have that experience to be able to battle through, and that speaks to those numbers that you gave out a bunch of times in terms of the under 45% and the 6 points or less and all that. There was a lot of close games, but because you weren't psychologically there or you weren't experienced enough, you haven't been through that, you lose.
Quick update on the Bucks. Andrew Bogut, who did not play last game because of a knee contusion, looks like he'll be back in, and you know what kind of issues he gave Toronto, particularly in the overtime. So we'll see if the Bucks are healthy. And hey, there's a lot of teams still scrambling as we get towards the All-Star break to get into position for the bottom of the East. We're not going to talk about it because the Raptors aren't quite there yet, but at the same time, maybe it's not as far away as people think.
By the way, pregame show tonight, jammed. One-on-one with Jay Triano, one-on-one with Julian Wright, one-on-one with Leandro Barbosa, a regular chat with Jack Armstrong as well. Speaking of Julian, if you're not on Twitter and you haven't read already that yesterday, the Raptors had their big bowling event that they try and do every year, a little team bonding thing, just having some fun for a couple hours. And Julian Wright was the master. 3 games he bowled, he averaged over 180, and 2 of his 3 he bowled over 200. So clearly the kingpin on the team.
Guy's got his own bowling ball. What do you expect? I hear he was a big bowler at the University of Kansas as well. We'll see you tonight, folks.